Hey, so you know how Nickelodeon is on thin ice because they're ran by a bunch of creeps? I watched this movie yesterday called Funsize, thinking that it would be just another cringe movie to make fun of on this channel. But one thing that stood out to me is that the movie was rated PG-13, and I'm like, that's kind of weird for a Nickelodeon movie. I don't know if y'all have seen this monstrosity of a movie, but it's probably the most disgusting pieces of media that I've seen in a really long time. Today we have a movie inappropriately named Funsize that centers around a child being abducted on Halloween and is full of jokes that playfully reference all of the things that you're attributing to that. It's called Funsize. Funsize. If any of y'all were maybe young when this movie came out and have some kind of nostalgia for it or whatever, I'm sorry. Really, I am. Maybe skip this video, but I'm gonna call a spade, and this one needs to be locked up. I wanna point this out because I feel like a lot of people will assume that this is a Dan Schneider production, and I didn't personally see his name credited, which is relieving, but also makes me think that there's a lot more psychopaths working at Nickelodeon. I also have to let y'all know that this is a PG-13 movie. So like on paper, it wasn't intended for kids to watch, and I'm not mad that they would ever make a movie geared towards older teens that has sexual references and whatever. Like, make a Mean Girls movie, fine. But that's not in any way what this is, because they basically took a kid's movie plot that only would make children laugh and they made it very adult, which made it require a PG-13 rating. The intended audience is very questionable to me. Don't worry, I'm gonna do my typical breakdown like I always do. I'm gonna try and sprinkle some comedic relief here and there because I know that's why a lot of y'all are here. But to be completely honest with you, I was really disturbed by watching this movie because I was thinking about who was watching it and who they knew was watching it. It all felt really intentional, kind of like when a criminal writes a song and the truth is in the lyrics. And I'm not alleging a crime, I'm not accusing a crime, but I just think that the patterns are worth pointing out, especially in this particular setting. But I'll try and go a little bit more lighthearted in the parts that don't alarm me, and we'll ease our way into the elements that make me want to commit arson. Because we need to explain the characters and plot first anyways. So Victoria Justice plays Ren, who is our main character. Her only defining characteristic is that she wants to go to NYU after high school because that's where her dad went. Dad passed away last year, which is something that I find really weird that these coming of age movies seemingly gloss over. The majority of this movie's gags are centered around her 8-year-old brother, Albert, who is always up to no good, which is why I believe the plot to be more of a children's movie. He cut up all of Ren's shirts, and I guess he likes to poop in the bathroom while she takes a shower. And he's always either half naked or wearing some kind of costume with goggles and a mask.
Where are my boobs?
Albert is a little unapologetic shithead, okay? And we also learned that Albert hasn't spoken at all since his dad died almost a year ago, so now I feel bad for him. Mom is also kind of going through a bit of a crisis and is dating 26-year-old Kevin, who walks around their house in his underwear. She also keeps pushing off sending in Ren's loan application because I assume she has to co-sign it or whatever.
Application for what? College loans.
So Mom has been kind of losing her mind. On the way to taking Albert to the bus stop, we meet Ren's BFF, April, who is really set on going to Aaron Riley's Halloween party because she is obsessed with becoming popular.
Being sexy is what's gonna get us into Aaron Riley's party tonight.
I don't really like April all that much. I don't know why Ren would ever be friends with anyone like April because April consistently talks down to Ren and comes off extremely selfish. For example, April talks about wanting to dress sexy for Halloween, and Ren is like, I kind of want to dress up as Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Rest in peace. And Ren just kind of makes her feel like an idiot for wanting to do her own thing.
Aaron Riley is a musician. He's not gonna know who that is.
Her other friend, Roosevelt, is very much more of Ren's vibe. He's kind of dorky and is a bit of a history nerd like Ren is. He's going as a person of historical influence for Halloween. April is never nice to him. I'm sure I'm gonna have a lot more to say about April later, but we're just gonna move on for now. There's this part where Ren and Roosevelt start rapping about people they wanna be for Halloween, and she starts dancing like an insect, which is very lame and embarrassing, I guess.
I'm Theo Wilson and I'm a scientist. I study ants and stuff, if you get the gist.
God forbid my girl catches a vibe. Who drives up behind Ren in his convertible other than Aaron Riley himself? You know, the one hosting the popular kids' Halloween party.
Didn't know you could move like that, DeSantis.
He tells her to come to his party, says he might sing a song for her, salutes, and then drives off.
Maybe I'll play a song for you.
I also don't know how we're supposed to pretend like anyone having a crush on Victoria Justice of all people is surprising when she's the most beautiful girl to ever walk the earth. The most diabolical thing this movie did was Photoshop Ruth Bader Ginsburg as an OnlyFans model.
What about sexy Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
This is an amazing drag idea though. Ren is really thinking about what she wants to be for Halloween now that she's gonna go to the cool kids party, and Ren decides to go as Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. So Ren gets ready in her Dorothy costume when she notices Mom dressed up as Britney Spears, and she breaks the news that she is going to Keevan's Halloween party last minute.
Mom, I did not agree to this. Please!
Which means Ren is going to be stuck at home taking Albert trick-or-treating. Then Mom tells her that if she watches Albert, then she'll send the loan application for college, which is a really shitty thing to dangle in front of your daughter. So that's kind of a bummer. We fast forward to Halloween night where Albert is stealing a bunch of candy and acting like a little rascal. April just spends the entire time with Ren complaining about how she doesn't want to be there, which gets super old really fast.
Oh my god, it's Aaron. A smiley face emoticon.
I have never in my life ever heard anyone refer to an emoji as an emoticon, and now I'm in a bad mood. Oh, and I also love the occasional body shaming of an 8-year-old.
The sign says take one. Plus, I don't think he needs the extra pounds.
April and Ren run into Roosevelt and his friend Peng in one of the houses. Roosevelt compliments her for not dressing sexy, and she leaves.
I think it's really cool that you don't feel the need to dress sexy.
Ren tried looking for Albert, but gets him confused with another kid dressed up as Spider-Man.
You're not my mommy, bitch.
She's looking all over the place, but of course it's Halloween, so a million other kids are also dressed up in the same costume.
Hey, I'm not doing anything wrong. This is 100% legal.
And here we move into the part of the movie that made me feel gross. This movie likes to make PDF innuendos, and I don't find it edgy, I don't find it funny, I find it weird and gross. This example right here is very light compared to the rest of the movie, by the way, so before I unleash my rants about this, we're just gonna move along. There are some things that I did find funny though, like the side plot of Mom being at a house party with a bunch of people in their 20s, and also Chelsea Handler is really funny.
She's twice as beautiful as Katie Couric.
She could be my mother, but I love her and I think she's so brave.
The dude hosting the party is having it at his parents' basement while they're sleeping upstairs.
Everyone's down in the Nate cave. Race!
Mom immediately realized that this environment is a bit too much for her. And like when I was in my mid-20s, it would have been way too much for me. I don't even think I could handle that in my early 20s. So Ren calls the police to report her missing brother, and I guess they're not doing anything because I would assume they would call her mom. But in this universe, the police are pretty useless. April is complaining and really downplaying the whole situation like an asshole, and just reminds her again that she wishes she was at the Aaron Riley party.
Come on, what is the worst that could happen to him?
Albert makes his way into a convenience store where we meet Fuzzy, who reads anime comic books and likes to talk to 8-year-olds.
Hey there, little man.
He's kind of rocking the Shane Dawson look. As a light spoiler, Fuzzy is written to be a lovable, quirky character who saves the day at the end of the movie. And you know how some people, when they write characters and inadvertently write themselves a little bit? Just keep that in mind as we proceed, because I'm curious to know where that inspiration came from. Albert indicates he wants Halloween candy, and Fuzzy goes through all the things that he has available behind the counter, like a pregnancy test and chewing tobacco.
You backed up in any way, or did you chew, bro?
As if he can't just walk a foot over to where the candy is. But he's weird and nothing he does ever makes any sense. Turns out Fuzzy recognizes Albert from the arcade because I guess Albert slams at Mario Kart.
A living legend in my presence.
So Fuzzy starts losing his mind over an 8-year-old who is clearly away from his parents, which seems like a really normal thing to get excited over.
Nice to meet you and everything. Stay in touch, man. Just don't, if you see me in the arcade, say what's up and I'll bought you some quarters.
Am I supposed to find any of this funny? I'm afraid it gets significantly worse after these kids talk about pranking someone's house, and it reminds Fuzzy about someone who has wronged him, and now he wants to go prank that person or something. I don't know. He like jumps over the counter, he runs outside with a bunch of toilet paper and notices Albert is there by himself and even acknowledges that he's there alone.
What's up, Spotty? You just chilling out here by yourself? No man should ride alone tonight.
So then he calls the police, right? No, of course not. He invites him into his car to go prank someone who stole his girlfriend. Like, I don't know. I don't really care, to be honest. And what's worse is that Albert doesn't care for the idea until he is bribed with snacks, okay?
He who follows me unto the breach, my dear friends, will be rewarded with unlimited free Funyuns for the rest of...
He coerced an 8-year-old into his vehicle by bribing him with Funyuns. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm sure Nickelodeon knew that even though it's PG-13, that they're gonna cast the star of Victorious, which was a show that actively was airing at the time, that a bunch of kids and tweens would be watching this too. I believe that this portrayal of grooming and abduction was intentionally made to look silly, so that way, if the audience ever comes across someone saying, hey, let's go hang out in my car, do you want Funyuns? That is just gonna play out like the Nickelodeon movie, right? They think they're just gonna go hang out with this adult and play Mario Kart.
Not that I'm luring a kid into my car. I'm not luring a kid into my car.
Oh, how cute. The child abduction part is the joke. That's the joke. Is that we assume he's going to abduct a child. This pissed me off. Back to the story though. Ren and April check out the convenience store, but Albert and Fuzzy are long gone because they're gonna go prank that guy's house. And they ran into Roosevelt and Chang, and they start asking Roosevelt if they can borrow his mom's car to go look for her brother. But she has to convince him, since he technically can't drive anyone else, since he only has his learner's permit, so he can only drive around with his parents in the car.
Oh, bummer. Let's go. But we're friends.
My crush. It's all over the floor.
So Roosevelt takes the crew over to his house where we meet his moms, who are absolutely the funniest characters ever played by the funniest women ever.
I hear you're applying to NYU. That's where Barb earned her 3rd doctorate.
Yeah.
In prenatal psychology.
Yeah.
They're just like super holistic, and they just like play off of each other so perfectly. And they communicate in ancient Greek for some reason. And that's when he starts asking permission to use the car. April also shits her pants or something, and it kills one of the cats. Just another reason to hate her character. The moms both say no, probably because he doesn't have an actual license, so that's a bummer.
What was that about? I don't know. We should have breastfed longer. Oh, honey.
And personally, I don't know how they convinced Chelsea Handler, Carrie Kennedy Silver, and Anna Gasteyer to act in this diary of a movie. But Roosevelt decides to take out the car anyways. Back over to the part of this movie that I fucking despise. So Fuzzy and Albert make their way to some apartment complex where we are having conversations that are definitely appropriate for an 8-year-old.
A lot of good times in that apartment. I mean, not like that. Well, like that. Just not because of that. She started sharing intimacies with this mixed martial arts guy.
He tries throwing some toilet paper at someone's apartment, but he has bad aim, so he climbs a ladder and throws some of the toilet paper through the window, and it lands on a candle and catches on fire. And then he tries to like put it out with a hose, but the people who live there, they beat the shit out of him. And of course, he has to get body slammed through the front door by a plus-size woman, because fat people in 2012 are demons from hell in every comedy movie that ever existed in that time. Upon escaping the apartment, Fuzzy notices that his vehicle was towed, and right before it was taken away, Albert hopped in there because he didn't want to lose his candy. And also, apparently the lady who lives at his apartment knows Fuzzy. I guess they like dated at one point. And he's being held down by the guy who owned that apartment. And he's like, please let me go. There's an 8-year-old in my car.
There's an 8-year-old boy inside.
That's messed up.
It's not what you're thinking.
Okay, so what is it then? What is it? Are you just hanging out? You just playing Nintendo games? And they're the ones making the PDF jokes, so they knew what this looked like. Albert notices a Captain Chicken's outside, and he really loves fried chicken, so he scurries on over there. So conveniently, that's also where the gang decides to look next. In the middle of Roosevelt trying to drive, Chang starts messing with the radio and breaks it. So now Josh Groban is playing really, really loudly in public, where all the cool people are going to judge them for it, because Josh Groban is not cool at all. Suddenly, in the middle of the busy road, the car starts malfunctioning, and they get harassed by some angry gentlemen.
Move the babe magnet, asswad! What's up, bitches?
Chang starts talking shit to them, which sparks a bunch of hostility, and they start acting crazy while Roosevelt tries to get the car running again. The teenager dressed as the Hulk starts acting like he's the Hulk.
Hulk like kitty.
Hey.
Here, kitty.
Mom also calls Ren to check up on her, and this woman shoves a shot down her throat.
Doctor's orders.
It's actually my worst nightmare. Roosevelt drives off and they get chased by the hostile teenagers, and we're gonna see them later. Ironically, they almost hit Albert as they enter the Captain Chicken's parking lot. A random woman in a Girl Scout costume saves Albert from being hit, and initially I'm thinking like, okay, cool, she's gonna probably help and call the police, maybe look for his parents, right? No, instead, she takes him, a random 8-year-old that she found sitting by himself, into the club. What are we doing?
You got ID? I'm just kidding. Come on.
Over in Roosevelt's car, April is also trying to leave because she wants to go to Aaron's party, but she's being held against her will by Chang. And then she tells Chang that he can touch her boob if he lets her go.
Let me go and I'll let you touch my boob for 10 seconds.
And then as Roosevelt's trying to pull out the drive-thru, he's stopped by the hostile teenagers and accidentally backs up into the Captain Chickens.
Roosevelt, I'm so sorry.
As everyone is like pointing and laughing at them for being fucking losers and nerds, Chang decides to handle the situation himself in a very concerning and confusing way. He proceeds to hold up his musket, and 2026 me is waiting for everyone to cut it and run, but maybe this is before we had new mass every week as a country. The dude dressed up as a Spartan challenges him with like a piece of chicken. I'm not really sure what he's planning on doing with that. Turns out the musket works, and Chang attempts to shoot the guy, but he accidentally hits the chicken instead. And the Spartan guy thought that he just got shot in the chest. And everyone's like laughing at him for freaking out, as if that's not an appropriate reaction to a firearm being shot at you. And this is something that's supposed to be a character defining moment for Chang not being a loser for once in his life. Really great seeds that we're planting in the heads of kids and teenagers, Nickelodeon. Albert is at the club partying it up with a girl dressed as a Girl Scout. Johnny Knoxville, who is uncredited in this movie, I could never imagine why, is dressed like Dog the Bounty Hunter and acts like an asshole to Albert because he wants to dance with the anime girl. Turns out Johnny Knoxville is the guy Fuzzy was telling Albert about in the car, who is his sworn enemy, so Albert now wants to avenge Fuzzy or something. Fuzzy and that lady from the apartment are out looking for Albert. She asks him why he was hanging out with an 8-year-old in the first place.
Am I telling you why you were hanging out with an 8-year-old in the first place?
I was lonely.
And we're going to pretend like that's not alarming. He was just lonely, everybody. That makes it all okay. They run into Girl Scout girl and her friends are talking about how they were partying with Albert but lost him.
Yeah, he's awesome.
See, Lara, it's not like I hang out with lame 8-year-olds.
Actually, why does this sound like something that was written for Shane Dawson's YouTube channel? Johnny Knoxville rolls up and it turns out that Albert hid in the back of his car. We still don't call the police, but at this point, why would we expect any of them to do that? The gang is still out looking for Albert, except for April, who like dipped out after the police showed up. So she calls Ren and lets her know that she saw Albert at Aaron's Halloween party. So they head over there right away. Except they get there and it turns out that April lied to Ren so that she could just show up to the party.
I can't believe I actually thought you found my brother.
Really? Because I totally tried to make it sound like that on purpose.
She lied about finding her missing 8-year-old brother, which is unfathomable. I would never speak to this asshole ever again for that. Another scene that I did genuinely find funny was Mom trying to step away from the party and she accidentally walks into the host's parents' bedroom.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
And they're like just hanging out in there. So then they're all like hanging out, they're drinking tea, and Mom is like, what am I doing here? Johnny Knoxville pulls up to his house, and as he walks inside, Fuzzy runs into Albert again, asking him what he's doing there. So Fuzzy decides that it would be a great idea to prank Johnny Knoxville's house with Albert and like light up fireworks and stuff. Albert tries to make a run for it, but his costume gets stuck on something and Johnny Knoxville grabs him and locks him in a room inside his house while Fuzzy watches. Oh, also, there's this really cringy scene where Chang decides to cash in his promise with April to get some boob action. It's like they really want you to know that this was written by a middle-aged man. Outside, Ren is on the phone with the police again, who are giving her the runaround when Roosevelt comes up to tell her that he has romantic feelings for her, until April interrupts and gives her the most half-assed apology about lying to her.
I'm sorry about losing Albert. We haven't had a super fun night in a long time,
and honestly, there's nothing she could ever say or do that would allow me to forgive her for that.
because I totally tried to make it sound like that on purpose.
April also lets her know that Aaron Riley is gearing up to sing a song for her. So Ren forgets about her missing brother for a minute and to go check that out. And Roosevelt is just super defeated by that because nice guys always finish last. And Ren realizes that she's not into him and rejects him in front of everyone. And then she's like, oh my God, I think I really like Roosevelt. So she goes to chase after Roosevelt, but before Ren could catch him, Roosevelt drives off because he assumes Ren was just gonna go be with Aaron. Suddenly, Ren gets a call from a peculiar phone number and it's Johnny Knoxville holding Albert ransom for $400. Mom also texts her saying that she's on her way home. So, maybe you should let your mom know that your brother is in some rando's house. Maybe you should call the police. I mean, you were just on the phone with them. But Mom gets home, realizes her kids aren't there and doesn't react. Ren runs runs over to the dude's house and walks inside. He shuts the door, and this guy is refusing to let Albert go. Now she's in there by herself, and no one knows she's in there. She didn't tell anybody. I mean, did anyone read this script and make a list of terrible things that we're just gonna gloss over? Ren ends up giving up her jacket for Albert, which was a gift from her dad because it was owned by some famous rock star. But it doesn't matter because he decides he's gonna keep Albert locked in there anyways. Again, why haven't we called the police? But surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise! Fuzzy comes back to save the day with explosives and fireworks. They escape the guy's house, but notice the police is coming, and Ren acts like she doesn't want them to be there, as if she didn't just leave a grown man's house who kidnapped her brother and isn't standing right next to a grown man who also kidnapped her brother. And then Fuzzy talks to Albert, thanking him for helping a brother out after he started taking off his clothes.
Thanks for helping a brother out tonight.
And as if this couldn't become any more of a dog whistle for PDFs, Fuzzy decides to get naked in front of Ren and Albert to distract the bad police officers. Aside from the things that genuinely piss me off, Roosevelt's mom stitching a tapestry of Obama is something that I found actually hilarious.
Is everything okay? Where have you been?
Roosevelt breaks the news that he totaled their car, but they end up gassing him up anyways to go back to Ren and tell her how he feels.
What'd she say? Listen, he will tell you when he's ready to tell. What'd she say?
I'm so angry that their comedic talents were wasted for an abomination like this. On the way home, Ren and Albert stop by their dad's grave, and Albert finally says something, and Mom finds him at the cemetery. So upon arriving home, Roosevelt is standing outside, halting Mom at the door, and she pins him to the ground. And he recounts all the events that Ren probably didn't want her mom to know about, but I guess we don't care about that. He also confesses his undying love for her, and they make out. April wakes up with Chang on the couch, so I guess they're a thing now. That girl dressed up like a Girl Scout is apparently into Fuzzy, and yeah, they're both terrible people who should probably be investigated. Mom signs a loan application for her daughter, and the movie ends with Albert posting a video edit of Ren rapping on Facebook.
Jason Bourne with the butterfly net.
So, final thoughts? I think that a lot of people need to be investigated as a result of this movie, because I don't believe that all these playful portrayals of adults acting inappropriate to children and abducting them was a coincidence. And I'm not trying to reach or make this into something it's not. I think Hollywood has been proven to try and hide all their weird fantasies in plain sight. We saw it with the Quiet on Set documentary, and I don't think that this movie is any exception to that. I don't see anything bad about Nickelodeon going, hey, let's make some edgier movies since we have a demographic that's getting older. Like in 2012, I was 16. But if you're gonna do that, don't make a movie centered around an 8-year-old running around with adults. A kid who watches Victorious is gonna see this movie because their favorite girl is in it. And they're gonna think that if a nice man walks up to them and starts talking about Pokemon cards and Mario Kart, that they should just go hop in his car and play video games at his apartment. And if your younger brother gets abducted, yeah, let's just walk inside a strange man's house without letting a single person know, not even your friends. If this was just a movie about some teenagers drinking alcohol and touching each other's boobs or whatever, that's whatever. That's what the demographic thinks is funny and relatable in a coming of age movie like that. I don't care about that. But instead, we have a child abduction movie named Funsize. It's weird, it's gross, and we need to call things out as they are. So that's all I'm gonna say about this.